One of them.
Recording has been started by Vicky.
Thank you.
So we're good to
Thanks,
go.
John. You're right. I was looking for Emma or Loretta, but thanks, Vicky. I appreciate your help. Right. So thanks everyone for joining on time. And today, on behalf of Aspire UK, if you don't know me, I'm Varun Sharma, working in engineering systems, one of the volunteers working for Aspire UK. Apart from many other things we do under the umbrella of DNI, we are running these sessions for Let's Religion segment, and we have done on Hinduism, on Islam, on Christianity, on Jainism, and today is on Buddhism. And this is a very specific type of Buddhism, what I understand. But I would like to invite Shradha, who is our speaker today, who has been practicing this particular type of Buddhism for many years. So without any further ado, Shradha, welcome to KBR. Thank you for being here, and I would like to invite you to share your thoughts on this Buddhism, please. Over to you, Shradha.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I hope you're able to hear me okay. And I'm assuming you guys are able to hear me okay. Before I dive into the topic, and I'm glad to see so many people joining. And actually, this shows that Buddhism is, as a topic, as a religion, as a philosophy, I think it attracts a lot of people. People are inquisitive to know that okay, what this Buddhism is all about. So glad to see all of you here, and a very very warm welcome to all of you. I think before I straight away start talking about Nichiren Buddhism, I know I can't see a lot of people, but still maybe you can do it by raising your hand. How many of you have heard about Buddhism, like generally? Can I? Wow. Wow. Amazing. Oh, wow. And it's counting. A lot of hands there. Amazing. So, yeah, it's still counting. Beautiful. So, great. So, I think that shows that Buddhism in general has a lot of popularity. People have heard a lot about it. I started practicing Buddhism, this specific type of Buddhism, 17 years ago. And the reason why I joined this philosophy, this particular philosophy, and we'll start talking about it. At one point in my life, I was clueless. I was in the middle of my, youth, literally trying to pursue a career, was not very happy in my life, was confused. And that's the time, one of my friends who was practicing this Buddhism, he used to go for meetings, he used to go for such discussions, and he always looked very cheerful, always trying to get on the life. And I'm like, what's up with this guy? Why I do not have this sort of energy? Why am I always thinking about, what didn't go right in my life, and always thinking about my career, and still do not know which direction I have to take? That's precisely the time I asked him, hey, what's the secret of your energy? And he said, well, I practice this Nichiren Buddhism, and that has always, kept me positive. It has always kept me going. And yeah, that was the day. Since then, I think I have never looked back. And here I am today with tons and tons of victories in life, with tons and tons of, experiences in life, wherein life kept throwing a lot of challenges in front of me. However, despite of that, how I kept overcoming them, how amidst those challenges I kept going, and I remained positive in my life, after applying these fundamentals in day to day life. Yeah. So yeah, that's a brief about why I started practicing. Now, maybe I can in a very brief manner just say what this practice is all about. This is about our daily life. It is not some. It is a very modern type of Buddhism. This is not something, wherein, oh my God, we have to convert into vegetarian? No, the answer is no. Okay, do we have to bathe in the early in the morning? The answer is no. Do we have to, like pray or chant? And we'll get into those specific as to what to pray and what to chant. Do we have to chant at a particular time of the day? The answer is no. So the Buddhism right now that we are practicing, this is, I can literally say, this is our day-to-day life, our daily life. Now, maybe the question comes, who is a Buddha? Is Buddha some sort of a statue we have to go to and then, or go to a monastery, or do we have to go to a particular temple to seek Buddha? Any thoughts? The answer is no. In this Buddhism, we say, well, we all are Buddhas. Every person on this earth who is there is a Buddha. In a literal sense, the Buddha means the awakened one. So the question is, are we awakened? Awakened to what? So the answer is awakened to our own lives, awakened to our own potential, and like awaken to the happiness as to what truly the meaning of happiness is. So I think whenever I get confused, well, is the potential lies deep within in my life, I go back and tell myself, well, I am the Buddha, well, I am capable of everything in my life. So that's what Buddha means. Well, and if you have to say, okay, then why do we keep seeing the statues everywhere? Definitely, that's Gautam Buddha. That's from where the origin of Buddhism happened. That's Shakyamuni Buddha. Now, what really assimilated and turned into Nichiren Buddhism is Shakyamuni Buddha started Buddhism many, many, many years ago, and you would have seen all these statues all across. It started almost 2,500 years ago, wherein the origin of Buddhism happened. After that, and I don't know if you all know the story of Gautam Buddha or Shakyamuni Buddha. He was a prince. He was prince of a Shakya tribe, and he was very confused, just like us, common mortal. The way we all are confused about health, sickness, death, you know, why people are suffering, why there is so much pain in the world. He was also looking for all the answers to these questions. He said, well, I am renouncing all my luxury, and I will start seeking the answers to these questions as to why people are suffering. There's so much of pain all around me, despite of me having the most luxurious life. Why am I not happy? He started looking for all these answers, and then gradually he found out that the suffering lies just within our own lives. The suffering lies within our own life state. The suffering lies as to how we are perceiving a problem as. In one situation, somebody is actually happy even if the person does not have money, and at the same time, even if the person is having a lot of money, the person isn't happy. There is one person who is extremely sick, but just because his life condition is so high, the person is happy. At the same time, the person is absolutely healthy, but still the person isn't happy. So after he actually sat in on a under a people tree in Gaya, which is the place in India, and he actually started preaching his teachings over there. And that's where, and that's the place from where the Buddhism started rising. After many, many, many years later, in the latter day, there was this priest called Nichiren in Japan. He was very young and he was also facing all these issues. in Japan, in modern day Japan. He was like, there's so much of war, there's so much of anger, hatred. And he also started seeing the conflicting views in Buddhism, which were there mostly in the Asian countries. And he started reading about the scriptures and he said, well, the crux of the entire Buddhism is the Lotus Sutra. So in Nichiren Buddhism, we recite the Lotus Sutra. I'll get into the specific as to what Lotus Sutra is and what do we chant. But before getting into that again, I'll come back to our day to day life. I'm sure most of you who've joined, I can see there are 54 participants here. The question which you might be asking yourself, and I'll just give 30 seconds to you all to think about. Are you happy in life? And I want to really see those hands. Like, can you say you are truly, you're really happy despite of whatever challenges are? Wow. So I did see some hands going up. Yes, I do see. So people are saying yes, we are happy on a day-to-day basis. That's really amazing. So when I joined, as I'll go back to my story, when I joined Buddhism, maybe I was happy one day, maybe I was happy second day, but I still was not happy deep within. I somehow was looking for the answers to a lot of questions. There was a there was a death in my family. I was like, oh my God, why me? There was a family crisis at my end. And I'm like, why me? I was struggling at my studies. I was like, why me? I always used to think everybody is happier than me. Oh, that person has a boyfriend. Why not me? Oh my God, that person looks so beautiful. Why not me? So these were the sort of questions that used to always come across my mind. In fact, I have had a lot of conversations with people wherein people are like, you know what, I'm not able to get married, that's why I'm sad. Well, you know what, the person is the other, I'm not able to find a right job for myself. Oh well, I have a right job, but my boss is not somebody I would like to go along with. Well, I have a great paying handsome money, salary packaged job, but still this is not something I like to do. So these are the sort of questions which I used to keep hearing from my various conversations. And then when I started chanting, when I started really focusing on my life itself, I realized, well, this is why am I going outside when I myself can change any situation into give it a direction in whatever direction I want to take my happiness in. And just by applying the principles of Buddhism, I am not exaggerating, but in a year's time, I started seeing a difference in my own life state. Same Shraddha, who used to be sulking, started realizing, well, if I'm not liking something, I need to go and change myself. If I cannot make boyfriend, then I need to change myself. There is something which I'm not getting, you know, attracted to. That's why I'm not meeting anyone. Or if I'm not able to score better in my exams, I need to go back and study on my own. So, and that is what the crux of this Buddhism is. We focus on causes and their effects. This whole philosophy revolves around cause and effect. It shows the causality and effect in a manner that whatever causes you are creating today, those are the effects you are going to see in your life. It says a very beautiful thing. If you want to see what causes you have created in the past, see your present. It says, what if you want to see what your future is going to be, see what the causes you're creating in present. Now, when I heard about it, I was like, okay, I've heard about this concept, many times from many people in a lot of religion. It is being talked about that whatever you will sow, so shall would you reap. Whatever you would do in your life, you are going to get the results of exactly same causes. Karma is a bitch. That was something which was always taking around. Then I started thinking about it, then that if that's the case, then why this practice is different. Well, again, I can say that this practice is not something different. The crux, the matter of the fact is that this practice started making me closer to the fact that cause and effect in actuality exist, and I have to start focusing on doing the right karmas. Then the question came, okay, the question comes is, how do we create karmas? Is it like only by action? Again, I'll give you guys 30 seconds to think about. Do we all feel that the karmas are only created by doing actions, or like the day-to-day act, or is it something much more beyond? So I think, where of course, because there's so many people, I can just go into it. We create karmas in three ways: by action, by thoughts, and by our actually deeds. So if we even if we are doing the right thing, and if we are thinking bad about something, that is again we are creating a karma. If we are actually thinking absolutely right, and we are like, okay, today I'll go to my office and I'll not fight with my boss, I will not fight with my peer, I'm going with that mindset. But the minute I enter my office, and here comes my boss, and he's giving his nasty looks, he's passing his nasty comments, and I start mumbling, and I start taking out that anger on my peers, then again, even if I went from my home, I started on that journey that fine, I will be, in the highest life state. I will be at my peak. I will exhibit my best behavior. But still, when I reached in that environment, boom, we were like, mm-mm, this is not me. I can't work with this person. That is how we start creating karmas, and it has a ripple effect. You all can see that we keep on coming back to those tendencies of our life again and again. We start seeing that pattern, we start creating that pattern, and it's very interesting. W- and that's what I have seen in my life. Even if I change that place, even if I'll change that workplace of mine, let's say I'm working in an X organization and I'm like, I'm done with it. I'll go to Y organization. And surprisingly, I again start meeting similar people in my life. I'll say, okay, fine, I'll quit Y organization and I'll go to Z organization. And again, I'll see I'm coming across similar set of people. Likewise, even in the relationships, I have like I as an ex person has a complicated relationship, let's say with his or her mom. The person would see, well, I'm again seeing a similar pattern with my wife, or maybe I'm seeing a similar pattern with my daughter or with my son. Yeah, but think is the problem lies in the environment, or does the problem lie in myself? So that is, so I touched base upon a lot of aspects as to why we practice Buddhism, why we need a philosophy actually in life. And that's where I'll just take a pause here, and I would say let's get into a little bit more specifics, and let's see what this Nichiren Buddhism is all about. What do we chant? How do we chant on a day to day basis, and what impact it creates in our day to day life, and how we can tackle, with all these life situations which I just mentioned in a manner, and we can transform our lives, and we can do our own human revolution. Okay. So, first of all, and maybe I'll now quickly move into this, we on the presentation, I talked about Nichiren Daishonin, who was the priest in Japan. So what I will do, and maybe Varun, we can do that, right? We can circulate this PPT along with the recording. So this presentation is for all of you to go back and see what we talked about. So I'll just quickly pass on to the Soka Gakkai International, which is the organization which is propounding, it's called as value creating society, which is propounding the principles of Nichiren Buddhism. This is the organization. You can go back and read about it on the resources, and I'll send those notes to Arun and he can circulate that. It's a non-governmental member of the United Nations, this organization, and our current president who's running this organization is Mr. Daisaku Ikeda. Now, I'll go back again as to what do we chant. We chant the phrase called Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. So the word Nam is derived from the word from a Sanskrit word which means I devote my life. Myoho, which is I'll come here. Myoho, it means that the mystic nature of the law. That means the entire universe is extremely mystic. It is like the way I talked about that why we keep falling back in the pattern. It is because the entire law, the entire life is extremely mystic. Renge, in the literal sense, it means lotus flower. Why lotus flower? Because as we touched base on the topic called cause and effect, so lotus is the only flower which blooms and produces the seed together, showing the causality of cause and effect. So it means, again, going back to the topic that whatever causes we are creating, that is, we are the causes that we are creating through our thoughts, words, and actions, those are the effects we are going to get. And Kyo, it means Buddha's teachings, which is all phenomena. We chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo on a daily basis. Now, again, why are we chanting Namme Horengekyo? We've understood the concept and we all can go back to our homes. We are like, okay, fine, we know this. We definitely know about that we should do a right thing. But then why do we need to chant on a daily basis Namme Horengekyo? The reason, at least that's what we all talk about, is when we have a practice, when we have a philosophy in life, that is what tells us and it reminds us that we need to go back to our access points and we need to have that compassionate heart, which is the characteristic of a Buddha. A Buddha is somebody who has wisdom. A Buddha is somebody who has compassion, and a Buddha is somebody who has courage. Now, again, let's sit back and see, do we feel at certain point in time that we lack wisdom and we feel we do not know in this particular situation what to do? Many times, right? Like there are umpteen number of times we do not, so many we reach to a T point whether to go left or to go right. Do we should we and then the question comes how to take the right decision, whether we need to go to left or do we need to go to right. That is where when we actually do a holistic analysis of the whole situation, and if we are in a good life state, we will be able to take a right decision. For example, if I'm very angry and my junior comes and is like, this is the problem, this is what is not going right, my reaction to the same situation will be could be devastating. It could not be the most appropriate decision or the action that I would take. But at the same time, if despite of any situation, my life state is in my control, I'm feeling positive, that then if my junior would come, the outcome to that situation would be very different. I'm sure you all would have seen that in your day-to-day life, right? Very common example, a fight between a spouse. If I'm in a good mood, Even if my husband would say anything to me, it would not matter to me. And I'm like, okay, fine. It is okay. Just one usual aspect. And I would tackle that situation in a very compassionate manner. I will have that empathy for the person. I would say, well, maybe you are not in a good mood. Maybe let me do something to help you. But if at the same time I'm in a bad, I do not have control on my life state, I would go end up, I will be, fighting with my husband, literally, like, with everything, whatever will come in my way. So I think the key part over here, the moot point is to have that wisdom, compassion, and courage. And that's the beauty about this practice is on a day-to-day basis, we all are creating such causes by being compassionate, by giving love to everyone. When we chant Namya Horenge Kyo, we chant for our happiness and we chant for the happiness of others. For example, even if we do not know that the X person, that even if the X person does not know about our practice and the person comes in our environment to say, you know what, I'm suffering with XYZ problem, we come back and we chant, we send Namme Horenge Kyo to his way. And is this like the question will come, is this a magic? I will start chanting Namme Horenge Kyo and all my problem will be solved? Is this some, a magic wand or something? Again, the answer is no. The answer is that when we chant Namme Horenge Kyo, we unlock our potential. We unlock our own Buddha nature. And everything, whatever was going beneath us, we start seeing the things start coming on the surface. One of our very senior leader, gave an example once when there was so many things going in everyone's of our lives. He said, when the ocean is calm, the boat would not rock. But if the ocean is turbulent, the boat will rock. So try to focus on that boat, that whether there is a turbulent time or whether there is a calm ocean, focus on your boat so that it does not sink. That's what we do on a daily basis. We try to control our life state. So I'll just take a pause here and we can see how do we chant. Um, so Varun, is it possible for you to play Daimaku so that we all can hear how do we chant Namme Horenge Kyo?
Sure. Let me just try. I'm going to play it now. So let me know if you can't hear. Do you hear?
No, I can't.
Well, I can hear loud and clear. Let me just, well, I'm sharing. One sec. I've shared the link in the chat. I've just stopped it. But despite the fact that I'm sharing the music, I don't think you could hear. And, yeah, I think it's better to leave. Right, okay, let me just try one more time. Going to revise it back. Hopefully resetting it will make it work.
When you share the screen, there is an option to enable computer sound. So if you stop your sharing and then share it again and tick that on, because by default it's off.
Thanks, Maxim. I have that on, but I think the issue is that because Shraddha is sharing it. So Shraddha could,
Should I stop sharing? Okay, sorry.
okay, maybe this will, okay. I'm going to start it again. Do you hear it now? Oh, okay.
I think I can't.
You couldn't. Let me just share the presentation itself.
Mhm. So thank you, and so yeah, so
Great. Shradha,
chanting that we
would you
do.
mind resharing your screen again,
Yeah,
please?
sure, I shall do
It was
that.
really nice to have
Okay,
the chanting going. And yes, the reason it didn't work because you were sharing the slides and I was sharing the music. So I had to share the
got
slides
it.
to have the music up and run.
Cool. Okay, no, thank you.
Is it a good time, Shradha, to maybe quickly take a quick stop just to ask if anyone
Yeah,
got any reflections, any questions
correct.
anyone might have?
Yes, sure. So that's what I was about to ask. If anybody has any questions, and if anybody has ever heard about Nichiren Buddhism before, or if anybody has heard about this chanting before from their neighborhood or from anyone. Okay, great. I saw one hand. Okay. Oh, wow.
No.
I did see a couple of hands. Great. So, yeah, so anybody has any reflections and any questions till now? We can take them right now, and then we can go on to further, some few more concepts.
No, well, I could certainly share that I really like the idea of thoughts, speech, and action. This is something I think in any spirituality we always mention on whenever we need to improve, we always need to improve on all three fronts. Uh, Maybe a quick question on that. Do you think one is more important than other? Should we work on our thoughts? Is it the thoughts which reflect the actions, or actions are more important than thoughts? Or do we need to have that preference or sequence, or do we need to work all three together?
Is that
And
for me, or I would let I
if
would let.
well, Rose got the hands up. Maybe Rose would like to share something. Rose, would you like to unmute yourself? Raise a hand from before just to acknowledge that you have heard the mantra. Okay, maybe it was the acknowledgement. So yes, you're that. Well, another thing I would say, of course, thought, speech, and action was quite powerful because that seems to accumulate everything I could think of. But by stabilizing the board, does that mean focus on your mind in all the given circumstances?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yes.
what it? Right. Okay, great. Thanks for the confirmation. And we got a question on in the chat. And if I may read it, it's from Emma. Is it true you're not meant to buy yourself a Buddha? You have to receive one as a gift. So It originated from what you initially said that we, of course, recognize Buddha from their statue most of the time.
Right. So uh, I'm trying to follow this question. Is it about like buying Buddha as in from the market, right? Like that's what it seems. So
Well,
again,
certainly, I think that's what
right?
the question seems to imply that yes, the statue of Buddha, if I may say.
Yeah.
And feel free to correct me, Emma.
No, that's what I mean, the statue.
Right.
Okay. Well, I think
Fine.
I would say in our Buddhism, yes, go and buy. I mean, I have a small Buddha in my. I bought that Buddha because it gives me peace and tranquility whenever I look at it. But again, in our Buddhism, we um we don't like pray to a particular idol or to a particular statue. What we pray is we chant Namme Horenge Kyo before a piece of paper on which it is written Namme Horenge Kyo, which means that we devote our life to the mysticness of this law. So which I explained the meaning. So that's all we chant. We do not chant before the statue of Buddha, and we do not go to monastery. So I don't know if that answered your question. If I would say please go and buy. We have in our Buddhism, like I do not follow, or none of us follow particular set of rules that okay, do this and don't do this. But we just focus on improving our life on a daily basis and improving our life state and having a compassionate heart and changing our actions on a day to day basis, reflecting in the evening, did we do something wrong, or could have we dealt a situation in a better manner? That is what we really focus on, if that helped answering the question.
Great. Dilemma resolved. Go and get your own Buddha. Nice. If I don't see any hands up or anything else in the chat, so maybe we could continue and we will summarize and ask a few more questions right at the end.
Sure. Okay. So I think, again, going back to the slide, the question would come to most of you: why chanting? Why do we need to chant in order to overcome any problem? As I mentioned, that when we chant, you all heard that daimoku, you all heard that chanting. So the minute we chant, the outcome of that chanting is we uplift our life condition. And again, I'll give you an example. Think about an aircraft. When if when the aircraft is low, there are a lot of mountains. There could be lot of a lot many rivers. But when the aircraft is high above, then it transcends the mountains, it transcends the river, it transcends any blockages. So that's what, when we are in control of that life state, if our life state is low, we are only able to see the problems. Oh, there is a mountain. Oh, there is a river. But the minute we uplift our life condition, then the mountains would remain, the river would remain. But the change that will happen is in our there will be a shift. We will change that gear. The cars that we are driving will change from gear 1 to straight away gear 5, and we'll say, well, okay, there is a problem in front of me, but I'm bigger than that problem. My life state will determine my eventual victory or defeat. So for some person, the victory could be overcoming the karma of relationship. For somebody, that victory could be overcoming the karma of health. For somebody, the victory could be overcoming the karma of the money. So it could be anything. It and that's what chanting does. It uplifts our life condition. It also focuses on the fact that Again, I'll again come back to an example. Let's say I have a mark on my face, and no matter what, I go back to the mirror and say, you know what, mirror, the problem lies in you. I don't like you. I just do not like you. You always show me that I have a mark on my face. Can mirror do anything about it? With the change that needs to be done, the action that I need to take is that I need to go back and remove that mark. What will happen the minute I will polish, I will change that mark, I will work on that mark, that very minute, the mirror will show me a clear picture. So that is what the life and environment is all about. We may blame the environment is a strained relationship, but somewhere I the examples that I was giving in the beginning, and that's what I want you all to think about, that do we need to change something in ourselves? Do I have the tendency of getting angry on my peers? Do I always criticize people? Do I always look the situation in a negative with a negative lens? Those the minute we start taking action to that effect, we start seeing that our environment starts changing. The people we start meeting, suddenly the, the person who was giving us a problem, you will suddenly see, oh well, I was smiling today, the person is smiling back at me. Suddenly the problem of health, definitely it's there, but I'm feeling happier, I'm feeling not better. So again, I'll just take a pause here and I would check on with people that how many times do we feel we land up in such situations, and what you did in order to tackle a particular situation in your life. Anybody? It could be any situation, office, at home, with children, with spouse.
Count to 10 before reacting.
Correct. That's great, Maxim. Anybody else?
My mum always used to ask me to count before I said anything. So I count to 10.
Wow.
And then I've calmed down within that 10 counts. Or if that doesn't help, I count another 10. Especially around children. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Thanks, Jacqueline. Amazing. Absolutely. I think all these everybody who come in our environment like this, they help us in doing our own human revolution. Now, what is human revolution? This is something we changing. The way Jacqueline said, the minute the children come and they are doing something nasty act, instead of immediately reacting to it, we take a step back and we think, well, let me not get angry. Let me not um, think from deep within my life state as to how to tackle particular act of our children. And we do this on a day-to-day basis. We chant in the morning, we chant in the evening. When we chant in the morning, we say to ourselves, we promise to ourselves, we'll think like a Buddha, we'll act like a Buddha, and we'll tackle every situation as if as if like literally like a Buddha does, because we all ourselves are Buddha. There is this beautiful concept in Buddhism which we follow is about the 10 worlds. The 10 worlds which this Buddhism talks about are hell, hunger, anger, humanity, learning, rapture, bodhisattva, and Buddhahood. Now, these are, I know, heavy duty words. But if we see these worlds, we see we have a tendency to keep on moving in these worlds. Sometimes we are in a hellish life state. Now, what is a hellish life state? When we do not find anything going right in our lives, we feel everything is bad. We start blaming everything. Anger, this we literally face every day with our parents, with our kids, and we feel, okay, I have a right to dominate the other person. I'll be angry. Hunger is when we are wanting more of everything, wanting more of money, wanting more of, like, we are never satisfied. Whatever we have it, we want something extra, and that's why we are not happy. Hell, hunger, anger, and sometimes we are in a state of rapture. What is rapture? We are very happy at 1 minute. There is a fulfillment of a desire. And then suddenly, when this thing is taken away from us, we are again angry. We are again sad, right? Learning. Learning is when we start realizing that, the way, Jacqueline said that, okay, her mom told her that whenever you feel angry, count. So she took that as a learning. So in our phase, we start thinking, we take a step back and reflect upon a situation, but we keep on falling back in that tendency, right? Humanity, when we start thinking about people, when we feel compassionate about people, but again, is it for 1 day, or is it the way of our life? Is it the philosophy? Is it the practice of our life? So precisely, this is what, the all the worlds are all about. And then we reach to the state of bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is a person who is trying to seek happiness and who is trying to apply the principles of Buddhism in day-to-day life on a daily basis. And lastly, it's Buddhahood, when we feel, okay, here is nirvana, here is something we've already achieved, and we are happiest, and we are feeling calm, and we are feeling tranquil on a day to day basis, no matter what adversities come in our life. So I'll just take a pause here. And if there are questions around Nichiren Buddhism, how we can practice, what do we need to do? Is it something, like, it could be anything, because when I joined this practice, I had tons and tons and tons of questions as to how can I change my life by practicing this Buddhism. So I'll just take a pause here, and if there are more questions, I can address those first.
I don't see any virtual hands up or anything in chat, but I got one very specific questions. Well, out of many, I could think of one. Indeed, very, very practical. But I'm thinking in terms of the way we think, the thought process, which could change. And I really loved, if the way I would summarize it, something which I've heard, that let's not react, but respond, which means that we always have a conscious to make the decision. We always have that choice with us. So, what I think Maxim and Jacqueline, both of them said, counting, which of course gives us the time to recover back and respond rather than instantaneously react. So, very powerful indeed. But what I'm thinking in terms of day-to-day life, mm, is it just the thought process, or do you also have like most of the religions go? Again, Buddhism might not be a religion, it could be just a way of life, as
Hmm.
people say. Do you also have some practices to follow? Like in the morning, you would do that. Of course, you share the chanting, but anything, any takeaway which the audience could take, that this is something new I learned, and how about this if we try this once in a day? Or maybe multiple times, depends how long, how committed the practice is.
Beautiful. Absolutely. That's a very valid question. And so we follow three things, which is faith, practice, and study. These are the three elements of Nichiren Buddhism. Faith is believing in our own potential, having that life force and courage and compassion. We practice daily in the morning and evening. We chant that Daimoku, that Nammyoho Renge Kyo, what we heard. some time back. We chant that every morning and evening. We sit in a comfortable position at our place and we chant Namya Horenge Kyo. When we chant Namya Horenge and we read a book called Gongyo, which is a recitation of the Lotus Sutra. And Lotus Sutra, the title of the Lotus Sutra is precisely Namya Horenge Kyo. And we do Gongyo every morning and evening. And through that, we start feeling happier. We start having wisdom, compassion, and courage. And we start applying the principles of Buddhism in our lives and develop a life state which is indestructible. And the third element is study. So there is, by the president, as I mentioned, the current president is Daisaku Ikeda. He has written a lot of books. We study, we apply that in our day-to-day lives. There are a lot of books. Happiness begins at home, humanity in daily life, and so on and so forth in our center. We we can visit the center. You all are most welcome to visit the center in the UK. The headquarter is in Taplow. This Nichiren Buddhism is being practiced in 192 countries, and we have like millions and millions of people who are practicing this. And in every country, we have a center, various centers, so you can go there and pay a visit and see uh, what all is there. So these are the essential aspects of our day-to-day life. We have a lot of meetings which are called discussion meetings that happen on Sundays, sometimes on weekdays also, wherein we pick up a topic, wherein we pick up a day-to-day life topic, and we talk about in a very comfortable environment how we all are, how we all think about that particular topic. Like it could be oneness of self and environment, what we just talked about, right? The oneness of self and environment is about changing your own self. Or it could be the 10 worlds which we talked about: hell, hunger, anger, animality. And we'll reflect, are we, which world are we right now in, and how we can try going to the higher world, which is the world of Buddha and Buddhahood. So those are the discussion meetings. We have beautiful set of people all around us who are helping in overcoming our problems and helping us to chant Namya Horenge Kyo. So does that answer your question? What you were asking, Varun?
Great. Thank you so much. Indeed, it does. There is one more question here that does, well, do children join in the chanting as
Oh,
well?
absolutely. They love it. The
Right.
children, they love, they ask, when I used to meet these kids, they used to say, well, can I chant for the grades? Yes, you can chant for the grades. Anything that gives you happiness, you can chant for that. If you want to pray, to have a, because see, the point is, till the time I'm not happy, I cannot make anybody else happy. It's a fact. If I am sulking, if I'm angry, I'm always shouting and frustrated, I cannot make the other person happy. So it's very important. And do I can chant for anything. I can chant for my good health. Because if my health is okay, if today I'm glad I have a beautiful sunny day and I'm my throat is okay, that's why I'm able to talk to you all. So I have a lot of gratitude for that. I have a lot of gratitude that my 7 month old is taken care by my husband at home. I have a lot of gratitude for that. So till the time I'm not happy, my husband is not happy, we cannot dream to have a peaceful world. So, and it begins from home. We have to create that environment, and then that's how we start creating a peaceful society, a peaceful world.
Great. Great words of wisdom. Thank you so much for that. And we have reached top of the hour, almost there. So last chance for anyone to ask any questions, any thoughts, any comments. I could see some messages thanking you for the presentation. Very inspiring, Shraddha. Certainly, it has left impact on those who have attended. And I would say, because I do chants as well, so indeed the chanting itself, and I've shared the YouTube here, and I will share the presentation with everyone, all those who attended later on, so look for it. And with that, thank you so much for everyone for joining, for being such a great audience, and thank you so much, Shradha, coming around, taking your time voluntarily for the goodwill of everyone to enlighten with the Buddha in almost everyone, each one of us. Thank you so much, Shradha, for your time.
Thank you and have an enlightened day, everyone. Thanks to all the Buddhas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thursday.